who we came with. You get a chance to get out there and make an impact, you make it. Let's go!
The ball is picked up by Richard Sherman in the back of the end zone. Once by Sherman coming off the corner.
Pocket throws, and he's going to be picked off. Richard Sherman's got it.
Blitz by Greenlaw, a quick throw. Intercepted by Richard Sherman. Bell's got to get rid of it. The ball is picked up. It's Richard Sherman. He's going to go down the far sideline. Are you kidding me? Nobody's going to touch him. 10-5. Touchdown, Seahawks.
This is really cool. He is here. He is a Super Bowl champion, and I think one of the most fascinating athletes of this era. He is now an NFL analyst for Prime Video's Thursday Night Football crew. Guys, making his Good Morning Football debut, Richard Sherman. What's up, Richard? Welcome.
Good morning.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. It's an honor.
Thrilled to have you. We really are. And you will be at First Energy Stadium tonight, Richard. You're a hardworking man now to cover Week 3 kickoff game between the Steelers and the Browns, a division game in prime time. You have always had such a unique perspective on the game and life and the world. What are you looking at tonight? What are you focusing on in this game throughout the night?
Well, I'm focusing on the Browns secondary. You know, that's a big point of contention. They got to pull it together. You know, they've had some rough days. And it's not even talent. That's the thing. You know, some guys just get beat. Some guys just aren't talented enough. You're like, oh, man, they just getting outplayed. But they have such a talented secondary. It's bust. It's mental errors that are damning them right now. And I'm looking for them to clean that up and have a great game. Obviously, Chubb and Hunt in that run game. But, you know, Tomlin's going to have a plan. And I think you got to go away from Trubisky at some point and go to Kenny Pickett and let it fly.
Richard, you saw the crews come in and call all of the games throughout your storied career. You must have had a thought as to what it was going to be like to be a part of the broadcast crew. You're heading into your third week with this Thursday Night Prime Video crew. You must have had an expectation. What has been the biggest difference that you thought being on TV once a week was going to be like? A challenge, an enjoyment, anything like that?
Well, it's been fun. It's been more fun than I thought it would be, honestly. I mean, you know, you try not to make it personal with anybody. You try to keep it professional. You try to just stick to the points and stick to teaching and informing. But it's fast. It's really fast. You know, it's fast. You got to get your opinion in and out of there, as you guys know, as quickly as you can. Sometimes you got 10 seconds. Sometimes you got 15 seconds. And you got to try to be concise and simplistic. And that's the challenge for me, is try to make it as simple as possible. Complicated things aren't always easy to make simple.
And you've got the added challenge. You guys are outdoors with a crowd going wild, and you got the producer in your ear, and Carissa might be talking to Fitzy. It's awesome watching you guys out there. You're doing awesome with it. I also have really been enjoying your podcast. You're doing a great job, and I know you had KJ Wright on this week, and you guys were talking about Russell Wilson and maybe emptying the bag a little bit more than what's been said in the last couple of days. You played with him for so long in Seattle. In your eyes, why do you think he has been struggling, and why are the Broncos offensive guys kind of not getting going just yet?
Because it's an acquired taste. You know, it's something that you got to get used to. I figured they would struggle initially because of his style of play. Isn't just plug and play in that way. You know, the offensive line has to get used to the way he moves in the pocket. And right now he's trying to sit in the pocket and trying to be the guy, but it's forcing him to be something that he's not been over the last couple of years. So it's like he has to get back to being himself. You know, he doesn't have to play like anybody else. He plays like Russell Wilson, and he'll have the success that he's had. But the offensive line also has to get used to that. They have to get used to where he is going to be in the pocket. He's going to scramble around. He's going to move around. You have to create time. You have to continue to block your man. The receivers have to get used to it. They have to be able to adjust on the fly for the second play and the broken play. And that takes a second to get used to. He's done it with Lockett and DK for years. He did it with Doug Baldwin and Curse and all those guys for years. So it takes a second to get used to. They're only in week 3. So I would think by mid-season, he'd get back to what he's doing, and the receivers get back to figuring out his play style, and it'll be a lot different.
Richard, you don't have to look hard. You could look on the Richard Sherman podcast. You could look all over Twitter, at a variety of former Seahawks from your era. There seems to be a palpable resentment of Russ and how things were handled in Seattle. Where does that come from?
Well, it's not really resentment. It's just, it's just the facts of the situation and how it went down. You know, it is what it is at this point. You know, it's more guys frustrated over an opportunity to get something accomplished that didn't get accomplished. But at the end of the day, he's a good guy. He does, a lot for the community. Guys are just speaking their piece, at the end of the day, and that's what it is.
Well, since we're on the quarterback topic, Sherm, let's talk about another quarterback that I know you're keeping an eye on, Jimmy Garoppolo, somebody you know really well. You spend a lot of time with him. You know him in and out. And I'm sure you've got your calendar circled. Look, as players, we don't ever look ahead of schedule, but I'm sure you got Week 15 circled. The 49ers play at Seattle Thursday night. You're going to be there. I'm curious, talk to us about Jimmy G. What's he like as a quarterback? And as a corner, would you rather play against Jimmy G, a veteran, or a young buck in Trey Lance?
Well, you'd obviously want to play against Rook. You'd have, he has more to learn. Your old tricks can work on a Rook. They're not going to work on a vet usually. At times you can get them, but a lot of times they know what they're looking at. So you can't just show them something and say, hey, I'm going to dangle this carrot out there and you're going to bite. For Rook, he may not recognize what you're trying to do until it's too late. And a lot of times you can get them, until they learn. And so you'd always rather face the Rook. But I think the 49ers are in good hands. They were in good hands with Trey. They're in good hands with Jimmy. Obviously, they know he's a proven commodity. They know what they're going to get. And I really liked what Kyle was doing last game. So as he came in, they took shots. There's so much talk about how Jimmy G doesn't push the ball down the field. And first or second play in the game, he pushed the ball down the field. It wasn't a completion, but it just showed the aggression and the trust and the change in philosophy that Kyle is gonna institute, even with Jimmy G in the game.
Man, it's so incredible to me. Back some months ago in April, me and Sherman were in LA. We're at the broadcast boot camp. We're interviewing each other. We're talking about my mom, Mama Mac. We're talking about the Legion of Boom. Now, here we are on Good Morning Football. I'm getting ready to call the game for the radio. Sherm's going to be on TV. I don't know if that means I have more radio face, him more TV face. But, Sherm, how does it feel kind of going from where we were in April, talking about we didn't know if we'd be playing, what it was going to be, to now you're on Amazon Prime and you're doing the pregame, halftime, postgame show? What has that feeling been like in the transition?
Man, it's been incredible. It happened fast, man. Like you said, we were just sitting there interviewing each other, trying to figure out if we could even fit in this industry. And here we are. You're on Good Morning Football. We're on radio. You're on radio. I'm doing Thursday Night Football. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and
I'm a follow.
I think it's just a testament to how prepared we were, and how good we must have looked in that boot camp for them to trust that we'd be ready so soon. But you better be careful. You better be careful in that Browns facility. It might not let you out the door.
That is so true. You said prepare, and you said Browns facility. You talked about the secondary. What have you seen in kind of the collapse? They gave up the long touchdown to Corey Davis. They gave up one to Robbie Anderson. What are you seeing from that secondary? Because like you said, there's a ton of talent back there for this team.
Well, it's just mental errors. You see it. It's just mental errors. It's not physical. It's not talent. It's mental. You got to be on the same page. 11 guys have to be on the same page. If guys see it as a 2x2, then everybody has to see it as a 2x2, especially when you have an adjustment off of it. If you're going to play 6 versus this or 3 versus something else, then you guys all have to see it the same, or it's going to be a bust. And that's what's been happening. They're not communicating. They're not communicating verbally. They're not communicating physically. And that's what you got to see more of. They've had a players-only meeting, so hopefully that's getting fixed.
Sherman, we also have a big game this weekend, and your former teammate Tom Brady going up against A-Rod Aaron Rodgers. Crazy offseason for Brady, and I say that with a serious tone, knowing that it's stuff with the personal, professional, everything. Do you think this Bucs team, with all these injuries and Evans suspended, do you think this team can still do what they want to do and go the whole way with Brady at quarterback after what's already happened in a turbulent season so far?
No question. They're built for it. Brady's built for it. If anybody in the history of the game is built for it, it's Tom. And this team is veteran. They're ready to get in where they fit in. And I think they have the personnel. That's why they got all these vets. They didn't get them for week 1, week 2, week 3. They got them for postseason. They got them to make a run in the postseason and be very dangerous in the postseason and weather that storm. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about in Tampa. I think this is going to be a dogfight, but it's not the dogfight that it once was. And even when it was that dogfight, Tampa was able to come away with it. But Aaron isn't going to go quietly into the night.
Yeah, one of the games we saw over the weekend, which we kind of hope Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers was firework worthy, but what we saw was from Lamar Jackson and Tua Tagovailoa. There's been a lot of heat on Tua over the past couple seasons. What do you think clicked for him this offseason? Is it his development, or do you think it's the arrival of Tyreek Hill and everybody else has elevated?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it has to be his development, but I think it's Mike McDaniels bringing in that offense. Mike McDaniels is a wizard just like Kyle is. You know, they're from the same magical tree. And I think that has made a difference for him. And then Tyreek makes a huge difference for any quarterback. I think, Tua is just launching the ball up there at times, launching it as far as he can, and you have a receiver who can go get it no matter where it is. And that's been really cool to see. It's been, that fourth quarter, I mean, that could be a fork in the road for his career. That could be the moment the light bulb went on, and you could be talking about, man, when did he become such a great quarterback, and when did everything change? And it could be that fourth quarter of that Ravens game where he threw 4 touchdowns and came back from down 21. That could be a turning point for that entire Dolphins organization if it looks like that every week.
Richard, we got to tell you, it's so cool that you are still so new to this and already so good at it, but it is not surprising in any way, and Amazon is in very good hands. Meanwhile, the NFL has started a new initiative called the Tuesday Night Gaming Initiative. Started last week, will continue throughout the season. Tell us what this is all about and on what players are involved.
Well, it's been great. There's so many players involved. Each week is 3-6 new players, but RG3 has already been in it. I'm going to play in it. You should expect Austin Eckler. It'll be a ton of NFL guys. It'll be people in the gaming space, the superstars in the gaming space. And the NFL was really interested in breaking into the gaming space, and they didn't know how to do it. So they approached the company Enthusiast, my friends at Enthusiast Gaming, and they came together with a plan to bring this tournament together each week, every Tuesday night. Players, gamers, lifestyle. It's been really cool. The first 2 weeks have been great, and I think it's going to continue to grow. And as guys find, because in the NFL, it's so hard to get guys in seats. Guys want to be locked in,
right.
But they're finding time to do this. They're finding time to get involved. It's a tournament. They'll have an all-star game. They'll have a championship. It's really competitive.
It sounds competitive. It sounds awesome. Everybody who is watching this wants more Richard Sherman, and you can get him. Richard Sherman before, during, and after tonight's game between the Steelers and the Browns on Prime Video. Also available on NFL Plus. And I think I have to say it, the valedictorian of the 2022 broadcast boot camp. I'm sorry, Jason. I love you, brother, but...
Valedictorian? What's the second one?
It was close. We were together.
That's why Jamie's my favorite.
Partnership.
Okay, that's exactly
I wouldn't
right.
have said that if I was saying goodbye.
Richard, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Good luck tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good luck, Sean.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
That was really cool. Sorry, Jason. I'm just busting chops. Coming up, though, which rookie?